This is one of the best offensive lines in football. The downside is, and Shefty hit it a couple times, he is the blind side to the lefty quarterback, Michael Penix. That's a massive deal for a team that wants to be able to push the ball downfield. I think the second thing is, how likely are they to go now and maybe get aggressive? Because there are many ways, like all in, as a football team with a lot of the trades. This is a big loss for Atlanta.
Well, I think what's huge, too, we always talk about the skill players that surround the quarterback. But protection for a young guy like Michael Penix, especially his backside, with the way he pushed the football downfield late in the season, I think that's extremely important.
It's a big loss.
The moves that we could see Atlanta make to shore up that right side will be very interesting going forward. But in that,
I wish they kind of went on a little bit more about what moves they're actually talking about. If they're talking about like make a trade, like I don't really know. And I know what Orlovsky's saying about how this, could be one of the best O-lines, and so when you kind of deal with an injury, you can kind of still kind of make do with that. And that's when it really comes down to coaching, right? Is your O-line, is it great because of the bodies? Is it great because of the coaching? Is it great because of a combination? You have some O-lines that are great strictly because of the bodies. And when you are a well-coached O-line, you use the Eagles as a reference. You look at Mekhi Becton, not so special, pretty much seen as nothing with the New York Jets, gets to the Eagles, and now he's in being covered in confetti, tears streaming down his face because he was a huge reason why that team won the Super Bowl, being on that O-line. Those things matter. Coaching matters. And that's how you can overcome some of these injuries, and how you can be a little bit more resilient. But it is a bummer. It is a bummer. As soon as you see right tackle for a quarterback like a Penix, you're like, oh, that's his blind side. And you're talking about a young quarterback who does not have a lot of experience, obviously, in the NFL, only those 3 games. And so it's far from ideal, but I don't think it's an end-all situation for the Falcons. It's definitely a wait and see type of thing, because you obviously do need to protect Penix, and I'm a lot more forgiving when you're talking about younger quarterbacks and dealing with rates of pressure and expecting them to be able to just find their way through it. I think all quarterbacks obviously need to be protected. All quarterbacks need to have time in the pocket and time to be able to execute the throw and the plays that they want to be able to make. But my standard and expectations for a quarterback in year 4 or 5 plus is significantly higher when dealing with injuries to the O-line and whatnot than when you're talking about a first or second year quarterback, right? Like it's I'm giving you the grace there, especially because young quarterbacks are pressured and blitzed at such a high rate, because defensive coordinators are just like, get after the man. Like, these quarterbacks are not good enough. They're not seeing the field as clear enough, and they're not able to process as fast enough. So it's just like, just get after the quarterback, man. The chances of them being able to beat us, when we really dial up the pressure is, the odds are in our favor. And Michael Penix is going to have that effect. Coordinators are going to want to get after him, right? Absolutely get after him. And so this just continues to tilt that even further in that direction. And weirdly enough, this is how having ideally a dominant run game can really help you out. Because let's say that this is in a more, and again, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but I'm just trying to map out levels of resiliency. Let's say Penix ends up being like top 3, top 4 pressured quarterback in the NFL, okay? And the O-line is just not able to hold up as originally believed to be. Again, I'm not saying this is a prediction, but let's say that happens. If you can reliably take the pressure off of Penix to having to keep trying to find a way through this, and you can get some great 4-yard, 5-yard, 6-yard runs, right? Handing the ball, taking a big hit, or having a ball where you're now rushed and you quickly try to throw it and you can't get enough oomph behind it, and now the ball comes up short, and now it's 2nd and 10, right? 1st and 10 throw, like, you just got pressured right away, and you're just like, now it's 2nd and 10, being able to hand the ball off and now make it 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, heck, having a real big run where now it's just like 3rd and 1. It just, the collective sigh that you can, a exhale of a breath you can have is just, it matters to such a high degree, especially when dealing, again, with a young quarterback, because what you don't want is constantly 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 2nd and 9, and you got to get these yards, right? Because you got to get them, you got to get to get it to 3rd and 2 in the run game. It was 2nd and 8 after a really rushed throw and a rush lane. You were able to get 2 yards, but it was met with contact immediately, right? One of those behind the line of scrimmage throws where it just doesn't really unfold as well as you would want. And now it's 2nd and 8. You hand the ball off, and great, now it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, and you're like, it just everything gets compressed and stagnated, right? And this run game should be great, and so if you can still find your way through that, it can still allow, even though Penix will have to, if again in this more doomsday scenario where he's dealing with so much pressure, he'll be dealing with the pressure, but it won't be all on him to have to constantly find their way through it. And you kind of saw this in a lot of ways, ironically, with CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, that he was obviously dealing with extremely high levels of pressure. His O-line was a mess and all of that, and also the receivers were injured. But it was just night and day difference of when they were able to get their run game going with Mixon and when not. And how much pressure Mixon was able to take off of CJ Stroud in year 2 with just a mess of an O-line. And to be fair, I don't think obviously Bobby Slowick did a good enough job of managing that. And so that's why then my next level is coaching. It's like, what do you do to become a little bit more resilient to this? So yeah, little things like this are definitely frustrating. Which is why I'm kind of more floating around in the hypothetical situation here, because we just don't know how it all will unfold. But I also don't want to downplay it either. I want to be accurate. I want to be honest about the conversations that, like, you see something like this and you're just like, this is frustrating. And I am a big believer in the Atlanta Falcons. But this chips away at that a little bit. Same thing with the Chargers. I'm a big believer in the Chargers. You lose that and you're just like, okay. But it's a lot harder when you're talking about with essentially a first-year starting quarterback. And that's why my mind goes to the run game, because I don't want to put all that weight and all that pressure on Michael Penix to navigate the pressure play after play after play after play, drive after drive after drive. I still think it's going to be so crucial, especially if you're now replacing and you're having to move the O-line around. It's like making sure that the run block is still, like, to me, that's the priority more than anything. And then having faith in Penix's higher level base level of quarterbacking, even though how young he is, and having faith that you'll be able to, if you just take some of the pressure off of him and still allow him to operate in a more balanced, more, average to middle yardage situations, that he will be able to find his way through that, combined with coaching, of course, and smart play calling, even if there is going to be now a potential for a higher rate of pressures, especially per drop back. But if you take away the run game and now you're just constantly, like I said, third and long, second and long, third and long, second and long, that becomes to me just too much. It just becomes too much to overcome. So I am fascinated to see how this works. Honestly, I really am. I do believe that their O-line was very well coached, and kind of how they were able to get, even last year when their offense was clearly not quite what they wanted it to be. So I do believe that they'll be able to find their way through this. But like I said, I don't want to pretend and act like it's just like, nah, whatever, they'll find their way through it and no problem at all. Like, I don't want to take that that side of the conversation either. So for me right now, it's just kind of a wait and see. But yeah, I'm still very high on the Falcons, and I still very much believe in what they'll be able to accomplish. But to me, I believe in what their offense can do. I want to see their defense take the big step forward. Like they went, you talk about, because he was saying, oh, they kind of pretty much made a lot of all-in decisions this year, and there's pressure for the Raheem Morrises and whatnot, whoever's really calling the shots and making the decisions within that franchise, both coaching staff and suits and ties in the building. And so it's like pressure to win. And from my viewpoint, like, they took some big swings defensively, and it's like that you want to see pay off. That you want to see pay off immediately, because I do think if you have kind of a banged up O-line, and you get, like I said, you can't quite unleash Penix in the way that you wanted to, but if your defense can be reliable, get short yardage, get the ball back on in good field position, and now you're just asking Penix, hey man, you just got to get us into field goal range, and you still have that run game going. Again, it's just all ways that you take the pressure off of the moment, and you take things off the plate of your young quarterback. If you do that, it's like I said, it's a collective, exhale here. So this to me will end up being more about coaching than anything. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Atlanta Falcons now dealing with some pretty prominent injuries? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.